Welcome back to the BT Racing channel. This week I have quite the exciting car for you guys. I know I've mentioned WRXs in two of the videos, and here we finally have one. This one's a 2017 WRX, not the STI, but it has the STI package. What that means for the driver is that I get a short throw shifter, different set of wheels, and a different exhaust. So this one may be a little bit different than your standard WRX, for those of you that have already watched WRX videos. If this is the first time you've been to our channel, a disclaimer, this does not include any portions of the exterior, nor do we really talk about anything about the exterior unless it's really a part of the driving experience for the car. So we're going to set out on some PA back roads to do a little bit of testing and driving around and let you know what I think. Now, as a disclaimer, before any of you keyboard warriors go to town on me, I want to let you know that I am at best an amateur driving a manual. So before you go ape on me for, oh, your clutch work isn't that good, or try to roast me for something else, yes, I am not perfect. I'm aware. I'm learning more and more each day. I promise you. So I'm going to try to distance myself from these cars ahead of me and push it through these corners up here a little bit. Now I'm in second gear. Man, is that fun. The new WRX differs quite a bit from the previous ones. If you aren't aware, the newer ones use a twin scroll turbo versus the other ones that just didn't. What that means for the driver is that boost comes on pretty early, and the previous generations boost came on and it kind of felt sluggish at the lower RPMs until you hit boost, and then it was like slap across the face. Where this one, it's pretty linear, and I do enjoy it. Now, it comes at a sacrifice. You no longer have unequal length headers, of which Subaru was known for, which gives you that classic Subaru rumble that everyone knows and loves. Oh my goodness. The exhaust note in this thing isn't bad. It's pretty nice. It's pretty loud for an OEM exhaust, surprisingly. In fact, loud enough that my dad wants to dampen it with like some Dynamat or something, which is why I'm doing the review now. I haven't really had the chance to drive it that much, but I'd like to do the review now while the car is in its most stock form before he changes anything, because he does plan to change a few things. So the exhaust note itself, like I said, is pretty loud, but the tone that comes out of it is nice. And if you're really on the vehicle, if you're under load and you're going in between gears, it produces a really nice burble. And I've only found a few videos online that have been able to capture it. And I myself would probably have a hard time capturing it myself. So you may not hear it during the video, which would be unfortunate, but if you do, you and I will hopefully both be pretty excited. There's one kind of unfortunate thing that I think about when driving a vehicle like this. Is one, the attention that it draws. It causes a lot of sometimes unwanted attention. Anytime you go anywhere, people look at you. And this car isn't modified or anything. It isn't flashy. It's a dark blue color, but yet it still catches the attention of everybody, which, I mean, is kind of gratifying. But it's sometimes unwanted. You want to have fun without being unnoticed sometimes, and it's almost impossible to do unless you're in the middle of nowhere. Now, this kind of serves as a follow-up to the Genesis video, actually. I know at the very end of the Genesis video, I talked about us getting rid of it and my dad buying a new car. And this is his car. This is the replacement for the Genesis. I know they are two totally different cars from different worlds, and you would maybe ask yourself, what would make a grown man go from a luxury sedan to borderline sports car? I think it's more of a midlife thing. He wanted to, have a little bit more fun. He was kind of tired of having a driving experience that was kind of boring. And this is a good replacement for that. Now, he has a few gripes about it. One, that it's loud. Two, it's kind of stiff, of which it is. I mean, it should be. And it's totally different from what the Genesis was, which was a big bouncy luxury car, where this isn't at all. You barely have any bounce. The suspension works really, really well with Subaru's torque vectoring system, and I mentioned it in the Outback video, but there's quite a difference between the Outback and this car with its torque vectoring. This one is on top of it all the time. It's always using it, it feels like. In this car, you'd notice it. I can feel when the car is using it, but it does the torque vectoring thing pretty well. It doesn't bother you with the way it does it. Yes, you notice it, but no, it doesn't bother you. What it's primarily doing is, as you turn into a corner, it's applying the brake to the innermost wheel in that corner. So it feels like, as you're going around a corner, that the car is on a pivot, and the car, you know, applies the brakes based off of your steering angle to its brakes, which it gives you so much confidence. Maybe saying too much confidence, because I could see that there would come a point where you would put too much trust into that and assume that you can chuck this car into any corner that you really want and come out on the other side, assuming that the car itself will calculate everything for you, do some magic, and then come out just fine, giggling and smiling. Steering in this car is very different from the previous years. This steering is fantastic. The ratio on it, I mean, is just so quick. You know, I'm barely turning the wheel and I'm moving totally left to right within my lane. Kind of yearning for more from the steering, as it's responsive, but you don't feel much through it. You feel a little bit, but it feels muted down, rubbery, as if there was a bushing between you and the road itself. See if I can distance myself from this van in front of me. Get a little pull going. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, we're being filmed in Mexico. We don't do this here in America. That would be unlawful, and we don't do that. But there's such a good feeling this car gives you. It's not really about how it drives, because how it drives is, I'd ask for more from it, if I'm honest. But what this is really good at is making you feel a certain type of way. It brings a lot of joy, and I don't know why. I can't explain it. But you feel a lot of joy when you drive it. There's always a smile when you're getting the car to do what you want it to do. It's like childlike. Yes, the car could have more power. I wish it did. I wish it had a little bit more. And probably the STI fixes that. I know their 0 to 60 times are the same, blah, 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 blah. But it's the top end performance where you kind of wish there was more. You get to the top and you ask for more from it. You're pushing and pushing, and it's giving it all it can give you, which by then you're doing something that's ridiculously illegal and would put you in handcuffs, but you're still asking for more. Let's try this corner here. I know it's pretty tight. Body roll is at a minimum. The car just hunkers down. The steering doesn't fight you. I've never heard the tires screech in this car, and both my dad and I have been driving this thing pretty hard since he got it. The car was engineered to do these things, and that's why you have so much fun. Oh my God, yes. Yes. Wow. This car has a lot of soul, And on the surface, it seems like a normal Toyota Corolla when you drive it like a normal human being. But when you really, really push it, it opens itself up to you. You understand it a little bit more, and it understands you, and you guys work together, and you guys can do some pretty fun shit. Wow. I think this car, it has a personality, and I know a lot of people have been comparing it to like Corollas, as they're both kind of on the same with their styling features, and they don't have anything that's really unique except the hood scoop anymore. But I think they're kind of wrong. You really have to push it. You really have to get engaged with the vehicle, and that's when you start to see it. And I think Subaru knows that. Driving it around, they wanted you to feel relaxed, like you can drive it every day. But when you really want to have fun is when it really becomes a special car to you. I mean, for example, I'm driving around through a kind of residential-ish neighborhood. It's fine. Nothing ridiculous. It doesn't jar you with the suspension. The steering isn't a hassle to use. It's, heavier, but not a burden on me. But it's when you toss it into corners is when it gets really exciting. And for you guys that live in places that don't have fantastic mountains and corners to ride up and down, I feel really sorry, because that is where this car should be. The brakes in this thing, I can't complain about. They're not the Brembos, but there's nothing to complain about them. I wouldn't say they're fantastic, nor are they bad at all. In fact, I think the pedal travel on this thing is what every car should be. It's very progressive. The more you push it, the harder it gets. It's very much like the Outback, except tuned a little bit better, I think. The short throw shifter is pleasant. I wouldn't want it to be any longer than what the short throw shifter is giving me. I would think if I owned one, I would put a short throw shifter in it. They're pretty notchy. You clink it in. It isn't just gliding in and out of its gear. That's fine. It's not too clinky. But then again, I know I've said that you almost ask for more power. But sometimes, like in corners like these, this is the perfect amount. Like that right there, that's great. That's perfect. I wouldn't ask for much more right there. I know it's all to the user with applying more or less throttle, but like this is real good. Fourth gear, climbing up some steep hills, just fine. Now the community with these things is obviously pretty good. Everywhere my father and I go, there's someone with a Subaru waving. Way more than any other Subaru I've ever driven. There's always someone doing one of these. My dad, I don't think understands that. That's okay. Maybe he will eventually. I don't think he's ever owned a car that would have such a cult following behind it. If anyone was just wondering if I thought this car was fun, the answer is yeah. If you wanted to skip to the part of the video where I said, is this car a fun car to drive? Maybe I should just include a thumbnail with me saying that right there. Skipping the whole, what's the car like to drive, but is it fun? There's your answer. Yeah. There's the burble. And down into 6. Keep it calm and cool in public. That's what it's all about. When no one else is around to watch you do it, that's fine. Balls out until you drop. But in public or in a place where there's a lot of people or timing strips where Mr. Officer can sit, you need to keep it below the belt because this thing's a magnet for attention. I like this car enough to say that I would definitely own one myself. If I had the means to, I'd probably own one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of the review. I hope you enjoyed it, as always. If you liked it, please like the video. And we're looking for more feedback from you guys. We'd like to hear what you like, don't like, suggestions, and things of that nature. So if you have any, please let us know down in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more.